Hello, good night, traders. It is Sunday, October 31st, 2021. Happy Halloween, everyone. It's 8:12 p.m. and I am going to start doing a special. It's going to be a Sunday night special, and I'm going to go over my watch list for the week, and we are going to go into our beginning of the week analysis, breakdowns at the start of the week, our midweek breakdowns in the middle of the week, and then our end of the week breakdowns as we usually do. So, a part of the Sunday breakdown, we are going to just take a look at the pairs that we were discussing last week, talk about where they went, and then get into any new pairs that I would like to introduce for this week that might be on my watch list. I also want to incorporate the fundamentals, so showing you guys the news and the upcoming high impact volatility that is suspected in the market is also an important thing. So, without further ado, let's get started. It's currently Sunday. You guys can see this weekend there was G20 meetings. This is a very volatile event, and let's just take a look at it real quick. Open the folder. G20 meetings are attended by finance ministers and central bankers from 20 industrialized nations, including the G7 nations: Canada, Italy, France, Germany, Japan, UK, and the US. So, if any of these countries fall within the G20 schedule, then we should see some sort of volatility. So most of my pairs are going to see some volatility upon the market open. So today is not the best day to trade anything. I would actually stay away from the markets at the end of the month. It's the last day of the month, so wait for the monthly candle to close on most of these pairs to find the remainder of the trade setup for the rest of the week. So as of right now, let's take a look at the first pair, CAD, I know I'm bouncing all over the place. Bear with me for a moment. I'll try to get the stream under 30 minutes, but it may go over that because I got quite a bit to break down with you all today. And if you are a part of my academy, I highly recommend just paying attention to this video, replaying it if you can, and tracking the pairs that I do announced in this video. So on the monthly time frame, I want to erase everything and start off with a clean chart. On the monthly time frame, we can currently see that CADCHF is bullish. I repeat, it is bullish. It was bearish back in 2019 and 2020, but that bearish trend is long over, and it is currently bullish. There was a rejection of the, if we draw the Fibonacci, just so we can take a look, did not necessarily come right down to the 0.618, but it definitely did show some sort of rejection and continuation towards the upside. So we are seeing some sort of potential push to the upside, and depending on how this monthly close, we could see a bullish run to the highs of that wick, which is about 100 pips away. As long as this month can close above the previous two candles, then we should suspect a drive to the upside. Now, if the monthly candle closes anywhere below the wicks of these candles, then there's a probability that price could fall back within that range, and that range could extend up to 262 pips. So now I want to mark down the micro frame. So let's delete that Fibonacci range, and let's just draw the resistances and supports on this right now. So this is just a rough sketch. This isn't really anything special just yet. Just marking up the key areas that I am going to look at for the moment, and this is irrelevant down here because this is kind of a lot of pips, and we don't really need to look at there just yet until the time arrives. So let's take a look at the weekly chart now that we know we are currently in a bullish market long term. CADCHF is now looking like a potential breakout to the upside on the weekly. You guys can see how CADCHF currently climbed up. And at the moment, we can't see that it is at a high. So I would be very careful if you are going to buy into this zone right now. We are currently crashing into an area of resistance, and this can be a very dangerous zone if you're looking to enter new buys. I would wait for a pullback and a potential push back to the upside. And can we see any more confluences? I can see a potential range right now on the weekly. We see that there's a bounce from here once, twice. It broke through third time, then it became resistance for a few weeks, and then so right here we're going to mark that as a area of congestion. So that's the next key level area. Why am I not marking up right here? Because this is not really an area of congestion, and price went down to that area once, it bounced up, twice it crashed through, and three times it did bounce. So if I did want to mark this off, I could just mark this off as a little minor zone. It's not really that important, but it could, be marked off as a 150 pip zone once we come down to it if price does close below here on the weekly. But as of right now, the weekly time frame does look bullish, and we're following a series of higher lows and higher highs that's making the ABCD Elliott wave towards the highs, and this is what we're currently at. So at the moment we are bullish, but definitely would like to wait for a potential push to the upside. Now that we're waiting for a potential push to the upside, let's just take a look and see how far to the support we have to trade if we would like to get into a counter trend setup. You can see now on the daily chart, CAD/CHF already entered its bear phase on the intra-week cycle. So we can see that if I do mark off any key level areas on the daily or below, it's going to be marked off with the horizontal line. I'm actually going to do that after the daily. So any last key level areas I will mark off right now. There's one right there, and there is one right here. There's a crash, bounce. That's not really a relevant area, but it will be if price continues to congest around there. So that's the only area that I'm going to mark off right now. So it is currently dropping from that resistance to that support. We will wait for the reaction in that area, but it's 60 pips away, and we know that on CAD/CHF, 60 pips can be a whole day and a half worth of the ATR, which is plenty of pips. So I'm actually going to be looking for a bearish setup on CAD/CHF to go into the support for a potential push off of that support back into the highs of the range, and potentially after that, if we can see a daily close at that time, take it on upwards to higher highs and beyond. So that is my projection for CAD/CHF, guys. Let's go into the smaller time frames now to break this down on an intraday basis. Right now, we can see CAD/CHF on the 4-hour time frame. There was a previous uptrend, and it got broken, and now we are currently in a downtrend. So at this very moment, we're going to just pay very close attention to the uptrend that was broken, and we're going to draw a Fibonacci zone. I'm going to just mark it from swing low to swing high. According to this, we are currently hitting the 0.786, which is indication of weakness of this uptrend, and there's a potential that it will drive down 61 pips to the low. So I already have that confluence. I'm just waiting for, you guys see how there was a recent prop up on the previous past couple 4-hour candlesticks. Now I was actually in shorts on Friday on CAD/CHF. I actually caught that drop the previous day, and then it consolidated in Friday, and it did go down. I was in the money for my trades, but the weekend came, and that last 4-hour bar stopped out those trades, getting me out of the position for the weekend anyways, because as a day trader, I'm not supposed to be holding trades over the weekend anyways. So I did get my stop loss hit, but it was a trailing stop. The stop was previously above here around 0.744, and then I moved the stop loss down to lock in some profits. I closed out a percentage of that trade once price did reach those lows around 0.738, and right around there was when I entered some new trades with this trailing stop right above 0.7389, and you guys can see how price went up and stopped that out. Now we're seeing a potential drive to the upside, but I don't see this run lasting long. I don't see it lasting any longer than about 25 pips, so I'm not really too concerned about that drive to the upside. and I wouldn't even take a long. This is not a good long opportunity. The zone is actually trash, and you guys should definitely be very careful if you're going to go bullish right now. Just know that if you are going to go bullish, the market is going to resume its bearish trend after the break of 0.7355 support. So right now we're currently waiting for that, and if price does break that support, our next support area is going to be 0.7335, which is about 20 pips away from that zone. So it's not really worth taking profit and then just waiting for a price to break below here. If I were to take a nice short, I would take one from above and a smaller time frame and take it down to this low, which is about 52 pips away from current price. I would not try to take the break of this low down because we're going to hit another support around 0.733. So that's not the wisest area to take a short from. And once we do hit that area, we have to then wait for price to close about another 40 pips to the next low. You have to see that on the 4-hour time frame. I'm not going to mark this up because these are minor areas, and pretty much once price does reach down here, it's already in a bearish market for the intraday, and unless we see some sort of reaction from this zone, we can't really say it's going to go bullish just yet. But I will take the bear move towards this zone and then look for a bull move back to the upside. And if it fails and there is a closure below the lows of 0.730, which was back in September, we could see a potential drive to the downside going about another 100 pips on the counter trend move. But this is a counter trend move. The bias is still going bullish, just for you all to know. And when the move does resume its bullish run, we could see a potential drive to the upside for and resumption of the bullish sentiment. So I hope you guys have a breakdown of CAD/CHF on the longer term bias. Let's see how I'm doing on time. 12 minutes breaking down this pair this week, guys. You see how dedicated I am with this and how long I take to break each and every one of these down. So I'm actually going to break this up into series. Once again, I'm going to do each pair with each individual video, but it's going to be a part of my Sunday series. So let me just finish up CAD/CHF, put this one away in the books, and go on to the next pair that I'm going to have on my watch list for the week. So CAD/CHF, we can see it's peaking its nose above that resistance, and it is showing potential run to the upside right now on the intraday time frame. We could see that. We could also see that it's setting up for a bear move to the downside on the past several 30-minute bars. So it's kind of in no man's land at the moment if you're looking to take a trade. Wait for a reaction. If you're looking for a long, just make sure that you have your stop loss a few pips below 0.73581. So this isn't a bad attempt to take a bull move. If you're going to take this buy from here and take the bull run all the way to the upside, and around 0.744 would be the target zone for a bull move to the upside. Now, if you were to ask me if I would take a bullish trade just yet, like I said, no, I would not take a bullish trade just yet. It's not ready to go up for me just yet. I would like to see price close above. I'm going to start to draw the intraday supply and demand zone. So I see a supply zone right here on the intraday. So we're going to mark that up, and then we're also going to mark, let me delete this Fibonacci because it's in the way. All right. And I'm also going to mark up another area. Another key level area is going to be right around here. And there is a potential area down below here, which I'm only going to mark up just because it might just have a small time of rejection. So this is kind of how I was looking towards the upside if I were to go long. And you can all see that there's a lot more traffic right now going to the upside and there is going to the downside. And at the moment, I'm only looking at this zone right here to be tested before I confirm a move back to the downside. So how many pips away is this zone? It's about 20 pips away. If I could see a drive closure 20 pips away, that's where I'm going to enter my short entry. So until then, I'll stay out the markets. But once price closes below 0.73705, I'll be looking for short entries back to the downside. And when we look back to the up higher time frame, we can see that the next area would be about 38 pips away, 0.732, and that's about almost a full day's ATR. I don't suspect to capture the entire day's amount of pips in one move. I might capture a portion of it, so that is going to be the setup to the downside. And if there were to be stops, just place your stop slightly above here. I wouldn't place it right above here because there is retail sellers above. And there could be a stop hunt that stops out these guys before it continues down. And I wouldn't put it right above 0.7415, not just yet because this is a weak area of resistance. If you want, just put it right here at the highest bar, which is at 0.7445, and that's going to give you about a 56 pip stop loss. Now I know that might sound like a large amount for your stop loss from the current price, especially if you enter it from there. That's going to give you about 70 pips for a stop loss. So once it gets down here, if you're going to market order and sell it upon market, then no, you do not put your stop above here. But if you are patient enough and you do sell it below 0.739, you could then start to put your stop loss 43 pips above, around 0.741, and you can successfully ride the trend down. So I hope you all follow through with this. I'm not really going to get into the 5-minute time frame because currently the markets are closed and it's kind of difficult to break down a market that's not moving on a intraday, intra-session time frame. So I will get into this 5-minute time frame once we get to it. But what it's looking like right now, like I said, the weekend, we have to fill in the data from then, and so it's kind of not really valid at the moment. But where we left off on Friday, it looked like price was definitely making its way to the upside, and then you guys can see how it peaked its way to the downside. And so this is what we're paying attention to right now in the 5-minute is the small range that it has formed. And as soon as it gets down to 0.732, it's going to activate some sellers, and we're going to go on down. So let's follow up next week or this week, guys. And I hope you all got some very good insight from this video. It has been a great session, and I'm ready for the markets this week.